Have you seen this? The UPN sci-fi spy movie for teens that predicted libertarianism, tech bros, and the commodification of the internet.
Welcome to Have You Seen This?
The world's only podcast about obscure, overlooked, and misbegotten media.
All discussions will be spoiler heavy.
You have been warned.
This show would not be possible without the support of our patrons. If you would like to support our show, join us at patreon.com/haveyouseenthis. For just $5 a month, get access to our Discord and all 3 episodes every month covering movies you've never heard of, or maybe wish you hadn't.
Part 2.
Part the second.
Yes.
Because Tim got a wild hair last week, and I hope you have listened to that episode if you haven't. It's also free. So go get it. There's literally no reason not to.
Did I talk about the V-chip last time? Oh, man.
Yeah, you were super mad about that.
I am. I continue to be.
Certain things just really trigger Tim, like the V-chip, Library of Alexandria, Bush the Younger.
Clear Channel owning every major radio station at this point.
God, we're such Gen Xers. It's disgusting.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so I think to recap the last episode, fuck the Clintons. Yeah. Okay.
They're all scumbags.
Right. But yeah, we have the villain of this, the antagonist. He is a tech bro. He's into Second Life and VR. He's into boiling the oceans out of avarice. He is a perfect example of the mindset of the .com era that's then, gone through the looking glass and just proceeded to fucking ruin everything. So that is Zachary Khan, a less charismatic Jamie Kennedy, but very unlikable. So good for him.
You forgot overt pedophile.
Oh yeah, and he also makes out with a teenager.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. You already said libertarian.
Right. Yeah. It's did the one painted fingernail not give it away? The sort of nod to Penn Jillette.
The reason this guy got on the internet with Prodigy in 1995 or whatever is because he wanted to know the age of consent laws for all countries.
Something that I didn't know as a child, using America Online at the time, apparently tons of child porn on America Online.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't find any.
Which is really disquieting. Yeah. And I'm glad that I never, we never had America Online, but I'm glad I never stumbled across any of it. Because that's just bad juju.
Right, yeah.
No one wants to see that shit, unless you're a pedophile.
Write to us at info@haveyouseenthis.
Our mistake was never setting up a complaints email address. Complaints.
Yeah, think of the engagement. Yeah.
But where were we in the story?
Well, this is a point where Zachary Khan is explaining his whole plan about, hey, we're all going to live forever in VR. It's basically the libertarian utopia where there are no governments, there are no laws, and basically I'm God, which follows.
So you can see why he would be into it.
Right, yeah. The only way that he is able to do this, he's able to use that Tamagotchi chip that the Uyghur at the beginning was complaining about. And by Uyghur, I mean he's a Chinese Muslim.
You're terrible, Muriel.
Right, yeah. So that Tamagotchi is as powerful as a brain, which is apparently has a baud rate of a mid-90s modem.
Damn, that's so fast.
Yeah, it's amazing. But it doesn't have enough power, and for that you need element 120, which a teenage girl skateboarder came up with because it's the future of the 90s, where that stuff happens all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. So she is currently in his clutches. and also, man, I am in his, because I just I couldn't stop talking about this guy.
He does kind of stick to you like a stench.
Right, yeah. The human stain. He pervs on Lindsay. Lindsay is the 16-year-old genius, although not as much of a genius as the guy who got his PhD from MIT at age 9. So yeah, we got kind of a George Lucas thing going on here.
She should be 12.
Right, yeah. That's the perfect age. The bloom of youth. So I'd mentioned before how creepy and invasive the internet has gotten. if you share a link to Instagram, you can delete the IG SID value at the end. That's just for tracking. You don't need to use that. Also, if you put a tinfoil hat on and when you go to the movies, I can't read your thoughts. Yeah,
True.
Delete anything from your URL that looks like a UUID. Like I said, the internet is very invasive. Tech people know to avoid a lot of the home automation advances because, yeah, they spy on you, basically. And that is shown in this movie just on the sheer amount of perving on Ricky. Ricky being the female lead and kind of the lead of this movie.
Right.
Played by Rachel Blakely, who is lovely in this. And if I knew that she had a webcam on her computer and I was an ultra spy, I would probably find a way to break into that and then spy on her without her knowing. Which is what which is what Max Knight does.
Oh yeah, that's right. God,
right.
This movie's so creepy.
Yeah, I'm saying, yeah, it's the promise of the internet.
But the interesting thing is that while it does predict or sort of prefigure a lot of these dystopian things that you mentioned this week and also last week, it doesn't feel smart enough to be really like cleverly satirical about them. Like there's an unfunny recurring bit which involves the title character like always being on the phone to tech support.
I mean, I appreciated that bit of verisimilitude. I'm like, oh, and even in the whiz-bang future, nothing works.
Right. I felt like this was, and I'm biased, but I felt like this was funnier on Mystery Science Theater when they did similar bits.
Oh, right. Yeah, the crow trying to get on the information superhighway.
The information superhighway.
I mean, I don't know. It ties into sort of the banality of evil because at some point, I'm just calling them the Furies, even though that's not what they're called. The evil Spice Girls. They break into Ricky's place because they're looking for Lindsay's CD-ROM that has all of her notes on Element 120, and basically to steal her research. And at one point, Max Knight takes a what would have been a fatal shot for Ricky, but yeah, it damages his whatever spy force field. I don't know. So
is it his heart? Because he has like an artificial heart, which
it doesn't matter.
He has to charge daily, which seems like a bad design, but what do I know? I mean, maybe he would have to drag like a huge battery behind him otherwise.
How much use time do you think you got out of Google Glass? Like, you got to charge those all the time, too.
I know. Now I'm just imagining like a battery pack that just like it like attaches to your ass. So you get like when it's attached, you get like a gigantic ass. Otherwise, you have to have like a cord just going from your asshole.
Yeah, that's like the battery pack on the iPhone. It's like
I'm good at design.
What does it look like? It looks like there's a battery attached to your phone. Ah, brilliant. So minimalist. So the evil Spice Girls break in. Ricky defends herself.
I call them the not nice girls.
Oh, that's good.
No, it isn't.
Okay. But yeah, so it damages whatever is spy body armor, whatever. But yeah, he's calling in to the automated phone tree of like a weapons manufacturer. So again, like the banality of evil, it's like Blackwater having a website where just like, now hiring. How do you feel about plausible deniability?
Or Raytheon sponsoring the Hugo Awards.
Exactly. Yeah. Can you imagine
that
such a thing?
Happened.
Right. So that's a recurring bit where it's like, look, we're evil, but like we're evil in a lot of different ways. We're overtly evil, but we're also like we don't value our customers, even though they use our products to kill people. Yeah,
there's a little bit of a poke at this particular brand of capitalism. Mm-hmm. The hell of the future where we're all just trapped online
in the free market.
Support.
Yeah. Right.
Which, it could be funny. I think it's because this movie is kind of more concerned with like the whiz-bang internet more than like, I don't know, like structural problems.
What, like the story?
Well, like the whole thing is basically just concerned with this one like pedo villain. You know what I mean?
how many villains do you want? What is this, a Star Wars movie? Is it Endgame?
I know, I'm asking too much. I try to demand more of my movies, which is why I'm so frequently disappointed. Just see the back catalog of this show.
There's your mistake,
evidence. Yeah. But anyway, I'm sorry. I derailed you. Please continue.
Oh, let's see. That was so he's on hold with the company that's like, it is a military contractor basically, but even still, they're just like, well, we got the shareholders to think about. We can't hire that many Indians for $2 a day to work our phone tree. Let's just have, a machine do it.
Probably an AI.
One of the things, yeah, because it doesn't work. One of the things too that we kind of glossed over in the earlier scene is that, the not nice girls, thank you, Jen, they break in looking for Lindsay's disc, and they have night vision goggles like it's a Tom Clancy novel. They're actually pretty threatening in a way that I find interesting, and not in the way that like Bitter Corella finds it interesting.
Well, they're not fat, so why would he care?
Right, no. I mean, so the idea that like if this is a futuristic cyberpunk world, it's like, yeah, you can be a supermodel, but also like, I don't know, a cyber enhanced assassin, and people just roll with it. You're like, yeah, I'm a murderer for hire, but I also have style. And it's like, yes, of course you do.
These gals are vicious.
Right, yeah, good for them. It's very, girl power, but, power to an artificial heart.
Girl power.
Yeah. But yeah, so I just wanted to shout that out, and then it's like, oh, no, these are actually, I like these villains. It's, the old James Cameron trick of, yeah, but the protagonist is a woman. Like, what?
Well, they are easy on the eyes.
Yeah, good for them. And so they show up again in their panel van. But yeah, he's Max Knight is on hold the whole time. Rachel Blakely, aka Ricky, hits him over the head with a laptop, and he makes a topical observation. Was that the new Pentium 3? Ha ha ha. Pentium 3 is a desktop chip. It does not fit in a laptop. It's clearly a Wall Street G3 PowerBook with a 1024 by 768 screen, 292 megahertz, 64 megabytes of RAM, a 20-speed CD-ROM, and, most importantly, a pair of PCMCIA card slots.
See, it all ties back to the last episode.
Yeah, every computer is going to have a PCMCIA PC card slot in it in the future. Like, that's just the way things are going. It's unavoidable.
Can I just say that these episodes have been a Timmy tour de force?
I know, they've just nigh unlistenable.
Well, I mean, except for our hardcore of listeners who are like, oh yes, that's very interesting.
Well, yeah,
I'm looking up the specs too.
Yeah, this is 800 by 600. You can add a second monitor. One of the other things, and I know I'm kind of skipping around, but yeah, we're talking about the not nice girls. And yes, they are great at being threatening and combative. They're also incredibly stupid, and I really like that about them. They aren't one-dimensional, just like, hey, I'm a badass assassin. It's also like, I will beat you up to steal this thing from you, but I'm also easily fooled and distracted.
Well, they're low IQ and vicious in a way that henchmen tend to be.
Yeah. So
because they're not, they're drawn to criminality, but they're definitely not going to be calling the shots.
Yeah, in the way that most goons would work. So, yeah, I appreciate that. I think it tracks. There's a point where they get distracted and decide to go shopping. But them being vicious criminals, their idea of shopping is robbery, and I'm like, again, like it speaks in their own language, where they're like, hey, you want to go shopping at this bank? You want to go shopping in this family's home? Like, sure.
Well, I mean, they kind of have to break in because they go to the mall and it's like 11 p.m.
Right, yeah.
It's like the mall isn't fucking open.
Right, yeah, so... not after COVID.
But, they're evil, so they break in and, good old 5-finger discount.
Yeah, and if you sass them, they'll probably shop you in the head as well.
Yeah, it's what they do.
Right. So yeah, they are unable to steal the disc because one of them squishes it between her boobs and bends it. So I'm just like, well, sorry.
I couldn't tell when that happened.
It happened at some point.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you're right. I'm being silly again.
Right, yeah. But Lindsay is still in Zach's clutches. He shows her the wonder of the internet as any, I guess, adolescent dork would, by impressing a girl by showing her his awesome computer.
I really need to show you this cool website. It's called Something Awful.
Well, now we're just doing you.
Yeah. Gundam.
Yeah. But yeah, the thing has like 7 terabytes of RAM, which admittedly I'm like, that's still a lot of RAM.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. Lindsay, she is the CPU of the computer. Can you imagine such a thing?
Whoa, that seems like kind of a weak point for a computer system. Like, no shade to Lindsay, but...
Yeah, so computing just happening at the speed of thought and no faster. Don't worry about it, folks. It's just hand wave it away.
Did Elon Musk see this and be like, I'm going to put a chip in someone's brain?
It is about at that level. Yeah, maybe this was like on, a UPN South African basic cable. And he's like, I will make that the future. I don't know. I fucking talked. I've never heard him speak. I don't know. It's fine.
You can consult Darren, and if he tells you your accent is disgusting, you nailed it.
Right, yeah. Darren, of course, being our African friend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so Lindsay is... And by the way, the scene where Zach hooks Lindsay up to the computer might be one of the most disgusting things
that's where he licks her temples.
And I've seen the entirety of the Garbage Pail Kids movie.
Right, yeah. You watched sections of Singapore Sling over again.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I would watch Singapore Sling any day. I'd be like, no, you know what? That movie's like, that's a tough one. It's not for everyone, but that's a really good movie with a lot of interesting shit going on.
Yeah, you're rewarded
Total
for it.
opposite of this.
Well...
But yeah, like, the reason it's so disgusting is because we get... And I feel as though... This is something which I forgot to say last week. I feel as though they were frugal when they were making this, which is why they shot a lot of close-ups.
Fair,
like, there are more close-ups in this movie than there are in, like, a fucking, like, mid-'80s Italian film. Like, most of it is close-ups because that way you don't have to worry about your lack of a set.
Yeah, you don't have to light the whole thing.
Right.
I mean, hiring gaffers, like, that costs money.
Right. And, like, I'm not even going to ding them on that. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, it's like we always say, we're doing what you can with what you have. But
we do.
Then we get a close-up of Lindsay sitting down to use this ultra super mega computer.
Uh-huh.
And in order for her to use it, she needs suction cups applied to her temples, which Zach does by licking the suction cup and then licking her face. This is a 15-year-old girl. The actress is 15.
All right, let me just look up age of consent laws in Australia real quick. Oh, wait, hang on. There's someone knocking at the door.
They've come for all your Simpsons porn.
Fair enough. Be like, come on, like get a real fetish. This is awful.
Jerk off to real people, you weirdo.
Stop being weird. At least like, anime or something that at least people have consent on.
I had a friend once who told me, like, because he had a friend who was always talking about how, like, Ariel and the Little Mermaid was so hot because he liked redheads who had partial fish bodies, I guess.
Yeah, he had a fetish.
But
for
inspired
fish
by his friends, he found some, like, someone did, like, Rule 34 of some, like, Disney princesses or whatever, and he was like, yeah, like, I took it and, like, I tried to jerk off to it, but I was just like, this isn't doing anything for me.
I guess I really wasn't into it. Not like I thought.
Of course, he is now severely in the minority, judging from what I see on the internet every day.
Right, yeah. I don't know. I gave up looking up what age of consent laws in Australia are. But yeah, if you know it, connect to your VPN, open up your LavaBit email address, and write to the show.
info@haveyouseen.us. Oh man, we're gonna get a flood of complaints, like 2.
That's like twice as many as normal.
Yeah, if we got 2 angry emails, I would be happier than I've ever been.
That's engagement.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that the previous scene of the not nice girls breaking into Ricky's place and failing to steal something would go nowhere, but you'd be wrong. Because Max somehow gets a screenshot of one of the tattoos that I think Taylor, the lead, the ginger spice of the group.
Yeah, she's kind of like evil Baby Spice.
Yeah,
in appearance.
Well, I mean, there is an evil Baby Spice. Like, there's the one with pigtails who is always licking a lollipop.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they did their research.
Yes, exactly.
By learning basic facts about the most popular pop group at the time.
Yeah. Also, it kind of creeped me out a little bit that the tattoo reminded me so much of the tattoo like the girls in Nexium had to get.
See, it was as predicted by Max Knight in 2000.
Yeah, this movie is so prescient.
Yeah. Yeah, but it doesn't say Nexium. It says DXM, which Jen is right. It's close enough to be unsettling. So
yeah, which stands for, I think, Deus Ex Machina.
Right, yeah. So Max, as elite hacksaw, he greps the web. Grep is a terminal Unix term. Kids, look it up. He greps the web for Avatar's DXM. And from that, he finds the most amazing bit of prop work that has shown up in all of this. And I think, Jen, you're probably going to have it be like the poster frame for this post. It is a club flyer that is a miasma of tech buzzwords. Like someone printed out an Angel Fire page made in like Kai's Power Tools and Corel Paint.
Yeah,
every font is on there.
Yeah, mostly Papyrus.
Papyrus,
somehow.
Yes. Papyrus is on there. Check. Impact on there.
I want to say template, which I think I just used in Photoshop the other day.
Comic Sans, yeah. Like all the he's playing all the hits. Mm-hmm. This is to get your attention. This is before we had design.
Yes, this is before anyone had even thought of the phrase graphic design is my passion.
My passion.
And here it is. Here they are embodying it.
Yeah, that person currently burning in hell right now.
There are several times in this movie when I absolutely like screamed with laughter. Probably like people around me were probably wondering like what the hell was wrong with me.
Right. She's like, oh, she must really enjoy this movie.
Yeah, it's a great comedy. First time was when the Ebonics CEO showed up at the beginning of the movie. Like he appeared and I started laughing. And then he opened his mouth. And I had tears streaming down my face.
Like, stop. It's all gold. It's as gold as his suit.
So much so that I put a clip of that scene on our YouTube channel. Definitely worth looking at. HYSTPOD on YouTube. It's very fun.
It already has like 5 or 6 views. It's really blowing up.
But the flyer was another point where I absolutely shrieked with laughter. Because I was like, that is so...
It is a thing of beauty.
That looks like a thing, because the other day I was trying to make a graphic for a video clip for this show, for the last episode, and I was trying to make it as 90s as possible, and I feel like That's failed hard. Compared to this flyer. Like, they weren't even trying to do a parody, they were trying to do something cool. Like, what
are the kids doing?
What would a printed out email for the sickest rave ever look like?
Well, it looks like I can't afford to hire a designer, but my nephew is pretty good at computers. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's a shame it didn't have any of the like PowerPoint 3D text in it, but I mean, that's really more for like official documents.
They just didn't have the computing power.
Maybe not. Yeah.
They didn't have that 7 terabytes of RAM.
Yeah, they didn't have a Pentium 3 yet.
Yeah. Wow. What won't they think of next?
Right. But yeah, Jen pointed out that DXM is Zach's avatar. It's his handle. It's what he goes by in the internet world. And yeah, DXM, Deus Ex Machina. The
that thing we all learned about in high school English.
Right, yeah, gods in the machine. I wonder if that means anything to Zach's character personally.
And I guess it does kind of like tie into the literary meaning, because there is sort of Deus Ex Machina at the climax.
Right.
During the interminable climax.
No spoilers. We'll get to it when we get to it.
Oh, we'll get to it. You didn't mention that in the scene with the printed out email for the cool rave, that's also a moment for some romantic business between our two leads, which is absolutely revolting.
Right, yeah. I'll let you handle that, because that, I know, made your skin crawl.
Yeah, like...
More than that deep fake that I send of you. Hey, we're living in the future.
Just for that, I'm going to Photoshop your face onto a really fat cat.
All right, well, people will be like, it's the same picture.
Actually, I think I already Photoshopped your face onto a really fat basset hound.
No, you drew my caricature on a fat cartoon cat.
No, I did that, but this is years ago at this point. I put your face on a fat basset hound because it was that that basset hound that lived in Germany, and the caption of the photo was, "Oh, du bringst mir einen Snack?"
That dog knows what he's about. Yep. You got to respect that.
Absolutely. But yeah, I know that by the rules of this kind of story, you have to get your leads together, your charismatic, attractive male and female lead.
Yeah.
But their flirtations are all like so cringe and just embarrassing. And going back to what I said last week about the movie being generally puerile, like it's extremely juvenile, and that also extends to the flirting. Like, how Max Knight, and fine, Max Knight trades innuendos that Claire doesn't understand with Claire, his AI assistant.
Yeah, because she's a computer, and you don't have to worry about consent laws.
Right, but all the like double entendres in this movie are on the level like that's what she said. To the point where
literally that is what she said.
Yeah, to the point where to fast forward briefly, when Zach is about to blow up the planet, the trigger to do so is his own finger, and so he says to Lindsay, "Pull my finger."
Right.
And
hey, I mean, would you expect better wordplay from like an Elon Musk type? Because you've seen like his shit posts where like this guy has like the sense of humor of a 13-year-old.
Well, but these jokes are funny compared to Elon Musk.
But I'm saying like the height. Yeah, well, speaking of goons and something awful, I mean, that is like the notion that is the pinnacle of humor.
Right.
Or like 4chan humor.
So it is accurate to the world of the internet, is what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah, it fits the character. He's a well-defined, reasonable character that resonates with the audience.
Right. Well, I mean, okay, so Zach is the villain, but then you have your super cool super spy lead, and I don't know. It's kind of like James Bond,
he's an
like
ultra spy.
It's like James. Sorry, finish what you were saying.
No, I said he's an ultra spy, Jen.
Oh, my bad. I forgot that he's an ultra absorbent maxi pad.
Yeah, not a mediocre super spy, not just some scrub 00 whatever. He's an ultra spy.
I'm going to start calling him Maxi Pad Ultra Spy.
Okay.
That's funny. That's
oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm not puerile. I'm funny.
A real think piece, yes. Oh, brilliant, Jen.
No, but
works on a lot of levels.
Now I forgot what I was going to say, and it was going to be really funny. I fucked myself. It doesn't sit as well with our suave male lead, because it would be like if James Bond went up to Pussy Galore and was like, "Let me clear you off a place to sit," while like wiping off his upper lip.
Pussy, like the Like pussy, you mean, right?
Yeah, like,
Huh?
and you'll recall that even in Goldfinger, all James Bond said in response was, "I must be dreaming."
Right.
He's,
Yeah.
he knows when to like downplay it. That
Yeah,
said,
that is my favorite carry-on spying movie.
that said, I did really enjoy in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, The Black Dossier, when Alan Moore parodied James Bond, and he had a female agent with the name Oodles O'Quim.
Yeah, the guy knows how to write.
He really nailed the like just the latent misogyny in like every Bond story. Like you kind of can't escape it, and he just like called it right out. And I say that as someone who enjoys Bond films. But
I also like all the weird old like etchings of Victorian porn that he just puts in.
there was a point in the Black Dossier.
That is Alan's thing.
Yeah, there was a point in Black Dossier where I was like, okay, I get it. You like old pornography. Can you break this up with something else for a change? Although the 1984 like Tijuana Bible, that was a good bit.
Yeah, it's like, can you have at least like a soulful quote about just tiring of humanity that can just be just shit posted across the internet and used in bad faith?
God, but maybe the most misunderstood author of all time.
Right? Yeah, I would be upset too.
Yeah.
I would retreat into my Victorian porn as well.
But I didn't even say what got me about the scene where we left off, where we have another romantic moment between Max Knight and Ricky.
Is it because he eats her peach because she offers it to him?
Yeah, it's very. Do you think that's a deliberate reference to Daddy-O? Want some? But no, she offers him a peach, and peach, of course, is the sexiest fruit to eat in front of someone. And he takes a bite, and then he makes a move to grab a napkin or something. She says, "Lick it."
Yeah, she's weirdly into him, which is not, again, it's not earned. Like, he hasn't done anything.
It's not in the text.
Right, yeah. So
like, it's the thing where like they have to get together, so make them flirt, okay? Yeah, and the thing is that like she does like one of those coy, sexy lip licks. Mm-hmm. When he does it, he does that thing where you just like evert your tongue and like lick your entire chin, and it's like that is not sexy. And of course her reaction is to crack up, which is the right reaction. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here like, oh Jesus Christ, like never do this again, please.
This is why T.S. Eliot didn't write more sci-fi pilots for the Australian market. Because the peach. Whatever. Yeah, so they flirt, and you're just like, all right, I guess they're a couple now. Whatever. He's still on hold. Zach, again.
The listener's on hold at this point.
My favorite character. So he is trying out the Tamagotchi. He doesn't have Element 120 yet, but he wants to like give it a dry run, which is what I do when I don't have a project finished. I like to run it first. Just be like, oh, it broke. What do you know?
Move fast and break things.
God. So insipid. He finds out that he has a mole on his crew. He has one of his lead hackers is actually an FBI agent, Lamer. So we get a chance to kind of see the like the frozen carbonite thing. We get to see what happens when he actually gets to use his Tamagotchi brain digitizing machine, and he pretty much just like lobotomizes this FBI agent after again like making like really lame jokes at his expense, and again, topical. They're gonna put his brain on a disc. What kind of disc do you want to use? Jazz or zip? Imagine human consciousness stored on 100 megabytes. That's like an entire school project. Ask me how I know.
Okay, and I believe that by this point, in terms of neuroscience, we have moved away from the notion that the human brain is equivalent to a computer.
Oh,
That's
listen to our show. Yeah.
well, it's a very I think it's something which was said kind of glibly, like in the 20th century when science started to actually poke into the human brain and try to understand it. It was like, oh yeah, the human brain's a computer. It stores information and then you recall it. And then it turns out the human brain doesn't work that way at all.
Oh, the human brain is a analogy for whatever the current highest level of technology is.
Yeah.
Yeah, a human brain is a lot like a book.
Which
human brain is all like a papyrus scroll.
And I know it's like out of
The brain is a steam engine.
It's out of the scope. The brain is a cotton gin.
Yes. That's why all these people are picking cotton.
I know it's out of the scope of this show, but it does beg the question of like how much storage space you would need for the human brain.
For you?
Now don't get cute. Look, just because I'm a woman and have a smaller brain by volume.
Right.
In the movie, they put people's entire consciousnesses onto like little crystal balls. Mm-hmm. Like, how the fuck does that work?
Well, you see, it's a crystal ball, and that is how it stores the brain. Look, I don't know.
It's analog.
Right, yeah. I mean, really, a brain is consciousness is the emergent property of the interconnected circuits of the brain. I mean, the mind is the body. It's
right.
Whatever. You can't just like make a copy of it and then put it on on a GitHub repo.
Now, see, and that's interesting. And I know I'm not being fair to the movie because, like, much as this discussion is out of the scope of this podcast, like, such concepts are out of the scope of the movie. Right. Because this is UPN. But it does make me wonder, and it makes me realize, like, how limited my knowledge of cyberpunk literature and media is. Because I know this is a question that people deal with.
Well, it's just an extrapolation. Like, again, from the book example, like, if you owned a book, like, you owned a physical object, but it's like, well, I can scan that in, I can, do an OCR of the text, and I can post the text on a website, and, like, everyone can download a PDF of it. Like, what happened to the original book? Like, you can make infinite copies of it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, it's the book of Theseus at that point. Like, which is the real book? It's like, well, they kind of all are, because we took a physical singular object and then we made we digitized it, basically. I mean, industrial manufacturing, has been around for ages. You can make exact copies of things, but this is like, well, now the computer's making a copy of it. And why not people? We've made a copy of everything else.
Right, which is a fascinating science fiction concept.
Yeah.
But I don't know where you would even start. I guess I should read more cyberpunk.
It's not important. Jen, did you get high before you started recording?
No, god damn it. Okay. I'm just asking about stuff which interests me. Like, the movie has sparked this discussion because I find the concept interesting, and the treatment of it in the movie is, like, fairly superficial because it's a TV movie.
Yeah.
I'm just asking questions.
Well, yeah, it is a rich think piece, and that's, I think, why it deserves to get 2 episodes of our show devoted to it.
I just want to get as much out of this movie as you have, Tim.
Well, then let's talk about the dance club.
Oh, right. The sick-ass rave.
Oh, sick as you please.
Man, I just want to put on shiny pants and, like, do E. And then die of dehydration.
Yeah, and sucking like a baby's.
Sucking on a pacifier.
Yeah, a pacifier. Yeah, and like wear a mesh shirt. So they go to this DXM club because Max found a flyer.
Yes.
The sum of his investigation.
It's an early Evite.
Right. Oh, Evites. But they can't get in because they are not cool. And you mentioned being confused at what the guy at the beginning is saying. There's like this floating head projected on a video screen that I guess gives him like an SAT question.
I can't tell what this person is saying.
It is inscrutable. It sounds like drop LSP, but I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know what LSP is. I don't know. Am I supposed to drop it? Anyway, you give the guy a formula, and then he lets you in. So, because...
but don't forget,
Yeah?
he lets you in by saying ack.
Ack.
So I guess he's Bill the Cat.
Is it like acknowledge? Is this some like ICQ, like texting lingo that I completely missed? Now I'm on the outside looking in. I wouldn't get into Club DXM.
Yeah. I don't know any goddamn formulas.
I mean, I wouldn't get into the club now either. So I'm talking about Max Knight from 2000. We have a lot of fun raver culture on display here. Speaking of like shiny pants and fluorescent hair. Also, it is has there's a recurring theme in this that is the like the royalty free version of Prodigy's Voodoo People,
which I just listened to tonight. Not the royalty free version.
Yeah, it is. Well, you could do a lot worse because Voodoo People is a banger.
Prodigy had a lot of bangers.
Yeah, Prodigy was blowing shit up in the rave scene in the 90s. I looked that song up just as Jen did, and I fell down a whole goddamn rabbit hole. I'm listening to Fluke's Atom Bomb. I'm listening to Underworld's Born Slippy.
Yeah.
Hey Boy, Hey Girl by the Chemical Brothers. I'm listening to Orbital. I'm basically doing like the highlights of like the pure moods of the 90s.
Pure Moods was in the 90s.
God damn it. I mean the 90s.
Well, Pure Moods was the new age hit
so it's like
of the decade.
Okay.
This is like, well, what would you call this genre? Like electronica or
the breakbeat drum and bass?
Yeah.
'Cause it's got like that Fatboy Slim like kind of bossa nova thing that was really popular around like the late 90s. I mean, just listen to the Austin Powers soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. There was a little bit of like a retro cool, like backward looking kind of thing. Because another great soundtrack from a little bit before that was Tom's Crown Affair. Which had like Nina Simone and
absolutely. Yeah. Look at the track list for the soundtrack for The Saint.
Yeah.
Like that, those are some like, raver bangers. Like that is, music was so much better in the 90s.
It's so weird that music was the best at a time when we were teenagers and very passionate about everything.
Right, yeah. I mean, what are the odds?
It's so funny that if we were talking about like Eddie and the Cruisers or something, we'd be like waxing enthusiastic about like doo-wop or something.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I'm going to put on D-Light and play Space Channel 5 after this. Like, that's how amped MTV's amped. That's how amped I am for like 90s rave music again. Those are just some beautiful, stupid days.
We didn't know how good we had it.
Yeah. Another exciting thing that I didn't realize is that I think that this movie exists in the same universe as Fight Ring, because Max gives Ricky a high-tech tracking ring. If something happens to her, she presses the little button on it and you can find her.
You're right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if any alien abductions are going to happen in this, but...
See, this is all part of the Have You Seen This expanded universe. It turns out that every single movie or show or whatever we've talked about takes place in the same universe.
Oh, absolutely.
So this is technically the same universe as Nicholas Roeg's Eureka. Same universe as The Astrologer.
Hey, remember when they dropped that bomb on the UK in Threads?
Yeah.
And everyone like forgot about it?
Oh, shit! That was Zach!
Yeah. See?
Wow, what an asshole.
Yeah, see, these are all great ideas. That's why they keep using them in movies. Over and over again. But yeah, I just love the whole vibe of the club scene, including the point where cops raid it because
the 5-0.
The 5-0 shows up because you remember when raves were illegal.
The
most transgressive thing you could do: go to a party late at night. Yes, the cops raid and some Yabo says some kind of like tech jargon, because this is supposed to be an underground thing. Like, you got to be an ultra spy to find out about this.
That's why you've got to say an equation to get in.
Right, yeah. But, the guy lets everyone know, I'm worming the signal through the black net.
As one does.
Because fucking dark web didn't exist as a term.
True.
Yeah. So that is how you found out about, raves. Then.
Kim.com was at that party.
He wasn't playing Counter-Strike at the time or something?
Now and there,
number one rated player in the world.
And that really pointy-headed guy in the background, that was Mark Andreessen.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it all makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now people are going to be, like, going through the frames, like, trying to look for Mark Andreessen. He's not actually in it, folks.
No. Yeah, he couldn't solve the equation, so he didn't get to drop LSP. Whatever the fuck that means. I don't know.
If you know, please write in. info@haveyouseen.us.
Yeah, if you speak, like, Australian English and can decipher what the fuck this guy is saying.
Or, you know what? Yeah. If you've been enjoying yourselves, you sick bastards, you can give us $5 a month and come to our Discord where all the cool people hang out. That's where we have our regular secret raves where we all wear shiny pants and you have to say an equation to get in.
Yeah, these are drug-free raves, by the way.
Yeah, sorry, because we haven't figured out how to do drugs through the internet yet.
No, yeah, sorry.
After our glorious leader, Zach, got eaten by chattering teeth.
Yeah, it's a brain drain. It happens.
Yeah, sad, really. But yes, $5 a month and up, you can join us in our Discord where Tim and I hang out, and you can talk at us, and we'll talk back.
You can correct us on how the Tamagotchi is not the antecedent of Pokemon. It's unrelated.
Yep. I did not know that.
Yeah, so why did our listeners not have a show? Maybe they value their time more.
We love you, folks.
Yes. Cops are at this raid, and you think, oh shit, things are going to go down now. And this is, kind of the face turn, I guess, at this point, where Tyler and her not nice girls beat the cops up. So I'm like, hey, fuck yeah, Stonewall.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, they're evil hench women, but they have the right
good
attitude
politics.
About the cops.
Yeah.
They know ACAB.
Yeah. Anyway, the whole thing, it's a whole shit show. Why
are Max and Ricky there in the first place?
They're following up a lead. They're like player characters. They're like, look, they gave us one clue. The DM has one location prepared. We're gonna go there.
And the DM is really mad at us for not just taking the hint.
Right. Yeah. What was the whole Peach scene?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna ship our characters.
Ugh.
Yeah. More cool shit happens. Max and Ricky. Because Ricky gets. No, that happens later. Anyway,
they drive away in a super cool car.
They drive away in a super cool car. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
There's some action. TV action.
Yeah. Tyler, because I thought there were only 3 of them. It turns out that there are 5 of the not nice girls, which, again, it fits. Sends 2 of them out of their container van on motorcycles armed with submachine guns. I'm like, if I was a teenager playing my stupid Palladium games, I would have that. That would be the set piece of just dumb, poorly thought out adventure. My friends just humored me on.
I did say last week that this felt like it was written by a teenager, and it is written at about the level of a Palladium adventure from what you've told me about them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Which is to say, a lot of fun. So yeah, this is where the shopping scene happens after chaos ensues. Whatever. The bad girls go shopping. I think Ricky was abducted by them, and that's why Max is after them. But it's also not important.
No, she gets because what happens is that because the bad girls go to the mall as bad girls do. Mm-hmm. Max and Ricky follow them Clueless. There, and yes, and Max is running low on power, so he has to go down to the basement or something
Well, I mean, not immediately, because he does have to fight them. So
well, yeah,
after...
they fight the girls. That's why he runs out of power.
Yeah. I mean, after finishing with 3 women, Max needs to recharge.
I see you co-wrote on the script.
Yeah, so he's like stuck, and then Ricky wanders off, and she gets her dumbass.
Yeah,
abducted.
she gets kidnapped, as women do.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, because of course she is then delivered to Zach, and then they like wipe her brain with their brain wiping machine, which I didn't get what the point of that was.
Well, you're getting ahead of it. Because one of the things is that the brain sucking machine does work because they did extract enough of element 120 to power it. And so they turn it on with Lindsay's help, and Lindsay's like, "Oh, I become death, destroyer of worlds or something."
She does.
Yeah. So they overexpose by 2/3 of a stop, and yeah. So everything's glowing, and this is the point that Jen had mentioned earlier, where in order to turn it on, Zach has Lindsay pull his staff's finger. He puts his rod in front of her and pull on it. Yeah.
Look, dude, she came on to me. All right.
Yeah. But, and again, like, Zach is the kind of, like, he really holds forth in front of these chuckleheads, all of his avatars, his little gang of, like, flunkies.
Yes.
And, yeah, he gives this big, rousing speech. This is not very good.
No.
And really, Zach, in this moment, is, like, he's kind of like the guy who, like, steps on your joke to tell a worse punchline louder.
Tim, I'm right here.
Oh shit, that's why I identify with this guy so much.
Also, you lick teenagers.
Well, hey, nobody's nerfed. Yeah, so, but they turn everything on. He's got his, he's basically got his, like, Adrian Veidt, speaking of Alan Moore, his, like, I did it moment. Like, he's succeeded. Like, he's got the power, he's got the chip. They have captured Ricky, and they wipe her brain, which you're like, did the main character just die? Did we just watch someone get, like, their brain erased? I guess so.
Yeah.
So now it's up to the backup character, the one who the show is named after, Max Knight. Like, he has to come in and save the day, I guess.
Yeah. And, and this is around the point when I started writing down, like, actual bits of dialogue from the movie because, man, they're stupid.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's fantastic.
Yeah, Zach refers to Element 120 as the most coolerific energy source in the universe.
Right, yeah. They dub it Lindsayum.
Yeah. And when Max Knight does show up, Zach is, of course, peeved, as any supervillain would be, and says... Now you'll feel the power of my wand. And Max Knight says, first you'll have to find it.
I get it.
God damn, that's so
Talking
fucking
about his wand.
funny.
Yeah.
If you're 12.
Right.
Also, one thing I didn't understand is when Lindsay at one point says to Zach, no one believed in me except you. And it's like, excuse me, you were in like a world-class, like, academic setting pursuing your passion. Like, doing the kind of work that people wait their entire lives to do.
Yeah.
What do you mean no one believed in you except Zach and Ricky?
It's just, I don't know. That's
kids are so entitled in the year 2000.
Look, he knows how to pull college freshmen. And believe me, this is the kind of character who would do that.
Absolutely. This guy absolutely goes to frat parties that he is too old for.
What are you saying? I think that because I am very broad-minded. I'm open-minded, not like Jen, about what constitutes a musical. Does putting one dance number into your movie, does this qualify Max Knight as a musical?
That was weird because the choice of music is that's the way I like it.
Yeah, because it was the fucking 90s.
Yeah, and I know that there's always some kind of retro revival going on, but I was like, that's the best that you guys could do?
Well,
and of course it's a cover because a cover is cheaper.
Right, yeah. Maybe they also were going to have a wedding there. So.
They had to
Same
cut the
DJ.
scene where everybody does the chicken dance.
Yeah. Right, yeah. So Zach has killed Ricky, and the movie's still going, so I'm like, okay.
Right, and please continue, because I don't want to just keep raising objections until this episode isn't 2 hours long.
Hey, don't be cruckish. Why don't you get on with this Cyberdelic movie?
You're hurting me, Tim.
Oh, I don't want to geef it. Don't worry. I'll stick this landing.
There's a part where Lindsay is really excited about her implementation of Element 120 or whatever, and she says, "This is so whack." And it's like, I don't think you know what that means, honey.
This is before a little domain called Urban Dictionary came along.
That's right.
Yeah, so that's why you had to guess. Like, what does this mean from context? I mean, I assume janky is positive.
Yeah.
Zipperhead, that could just be applied to anyone.
Oof.
And Turbo Nerd, you can work that one out for yourself. Yeah, for real. Crockish apparently is good.
Sure.
Crikey, well, everyone knows Crikey. Yeah, you know.
Huh.
Propellerhead, that one's fallen out of use.
Did you know, oh wow, there's a there's a website called the Racial Slur Database. Oh, okay, now I know where that slur came from. Yeah, now this is funny, but according to Wiktionary, because I think most of us have seen Full Metal Jacket or whatever and know about Zipperhead as a slur towards Asian people.
we can quote it more than people ask us to.
Right, but that's the number 2 definition on Wiktionary. The number 1 definition is a soldier in the Royal Canadian Armoured Corps or in the armored crewman military trade.
And the source is Max Knight from 2000.
It'd be fun if I clicked through to Wiktionary and that actually was the source. I didn't know there were Canadians in this movie. I thought it was Australian.
Yeah, it was an Australian-Canadian co-production.
One Saturday, I took a walk to Zipperhead.
Was that Frank Zappa dicking around or what?
Dead Milkman.
Whatever. So, we are fully in the end game of this legitimate supervillain scheme where Zach has retreated to the digital world. He's gotten away with it, folks. And Max is there, you know, he again recharges because we got to have like a ticking clock or whatever.
Right.
And he has to fight Tyler, the lead of the Not Nice Girls.
Yeah, because Zach is the final boss. Like, he has to fight,
right.
like, the...
She's the henchman.
Yeah.
She's the Jaws, if you want to mention obscure James Bond movies.
Jaws was actually in 2 movies.
I'm going to talk about Modem some more.
Enough with the sexy talk, Tim. Damn.
Right, yeah. And again, like, I can kind of understand Zach's perspective. Like, hey, no, not about fucking children. I'm talking about forever surfing the 90s internet. Just,
I mean,
yeah, every webpage is different. You can just run down the list of, you know, Angel Fire pages. You know, like one of our listeners pointed out, like you can find an endless number of websites through web rings. You can sign the guest book. Tell me you wouldn't love that.
All I can think of is that you don't have Meta censoring your innocuous comments.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have like a central gatekeeper. You have, you know, the federated internet of everyone just being like, yeah, I have a server that I run in the corner of my bedroom or my dorm room because we have an ISDN line going into it. And I also use that to distribute questionable pornography. Because, hey, it's the internet. There are no rules.
And that is how you get websites like teenagecybersexkittens.com.
Exactly. That's how you get ads for the X camera.
I tried looking up the X camera after you mentioned it.
Yeah.
I don't think I found it. It must not exist anymore.
I'm sure it doesn't.
Yeah.
Someone in the Philippines had like a surplus of it, and this guy bought them for pennies on the dollar. I don't know.
Oh, smart.
Yeah, see?
That was his big startup idea, huh?
I guess. I mean, he's a perennial entrepreneur. He's like he finds like imbalances. It's arbitrage that you build a business around.
Yeah, you exploit weak points.
Exactly. Exploiting people's weaknesses. That's what the internet is all about. So, I understand the dream of surfing the 90s internet rather than just, bouncing around to like 5 different websites ad infinitum.
Controlled with an iron fist.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like it was a Wild West. You were going on safari, Your
choice nowadays is you can go over to Instagram or wherever where a comment like "Hola, ¿cómo estás?" will be hidden for being offensive or something. I really don't understand the moderation on that site. Or you can go over to Twitter and look at all the fun lynching memes.
Oh, well, I mean, they are kind of bringing back that uncontrolled 90s internet.
Yeah.
I'm not saying for the better.
But now it's run by this like weird autocrat who banned like the White House photographer.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's Zach Khan reborn. It's the same idea.
Yeah,
although,
I'm sure he also fucks children.
Absolutely.
That's why he has so many.
Right, yeah. Oh, he's fucked those children over. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
It
was cool to see his daughter just like reading him for filth.
Yeah.
In public.
Just bodied. That's good.
Yeah, good for her.
I saw a comment somewhere on the internet, which, hey, must be true, that says an online community is defined by the worst member that they won't ban.
Ugh.
And I'm like, oh, that is insightful.
Yeah. God,
that should have been on that should have been on like bash.org or something. Like they set the tone basically. Like they set the bottom rung.
Yes. Turns out the internet. Yes, you know how like the ocean has like different zones depending on like how deep you go. Turns out the internet is all the bottom.
It's all the abyssal plane.
Yeah, it's also it's all like those like fucked up fish with like things hanging off them and like vampire squid.
Yeah.
Like those creatures that are just like conglomerations of like smaller organisms that look like big fucked up tubes or whatever.
Yeah. It's pretty fucked up. And speaking of the fucked up internet, since Zach has retreated into the internet, whatever that is, Max has to go in after him. And so we get to see...
This is the big set piece of the whole thing.
Yeah, what better metaphor for the internet than a multiplayer game of Half-Life where you can have racial epithets and slurs about your mother shouted at you endlessly by 12-year-olds from across the globe.
It really was a paradise.
Yeah. I can't believe they paved over it. Yeah, so Max goes in after Zach, and yeah, it is a legit game of Half-Life, which is kind of Valve's landmark franchise at the time.
Right.
And yeah, like it's even got like Half-Life logos in it, and he basically plays a video game because internet.
Yes. It's very funny too to look back on games from like 2 fucking decades ago.
I mean, I look at them all the time. Like I've been playing my Nintendo 64.
That's true. I did see you playing Shadows of the Empire the other day.
Yeah, and people are like, these graphics are terrible. And I'm like, you shut up.
No, but it's true because, like, I never played, I didn't grow up with a console, and so I wasn't really into console gaming. I never played Half-Life.
Yeah.
So, like, I looked at it and I was like, oh, that was like a real game, huh? And, I went and looked at, like, screenshots on the internet to verify. And I was like, oh, yeah. And it's weird to think of... It's very weird to look back on how primitive, like, these early, like, first-person shooter games looked. And they were like cutting edge at the time. I don't know. I'm not saying anything that isn't like totally obvious. It's like, oh, look at Doom. It looks like so like simple.
Wait,
it's like, yeah, no
video
shit.
games got better over 20 years?
I know.
Put that in the show notes.
But instead, he has to go to teenagecybersexkittens.com.
Yes, and we see cyberspace as Zach's perfect vision for the world, where you are forever stuck with a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, it turns out the internet's like that today too.
Yeah, I mean it is basically, like you say, it's Twitter. It is, picture a white supremacist posting pussy in bio forever. Like this was Zach's dream. This is his utopia.
Yeah. I can't emphasize the teenage cybersex kittens enough. Because as Zach says, it was his favorite website until the religious wrong censored it.
Right. And then again, I don't know who to side with on this one. But
how the fuck is the religious right censoring websites? They wouldn't even know where to start.
Well, you start by downloading NetNanny. You go to netnanny.com. You put in your AOL address.
It doesn't matter. This is the internet of the 2000s. It's the Wild West.
Right.
There's Half-Life and pornography.
Yeah, the two pinnacles of human achievement: video games and porn. Mm-hmm. This is a 12-year-old pilled movie. It
really is.
Yeah. Zach attempts to defeat Max Knight with the Ebozo virus. Again, relevant. It's at 95. It was what he used to crash the entire internet for 6 hours. And normally, it takes an entire team of CrowdStrike developers to do that.
Zing.
Yeah. See, I'm working on my relevant material. Loving it, too.
Unfortunately, it's a week out of date at this point, so...
Whatever.
We might as well be as old as this movie.
Yeah, that is a real crockish crippy.
Can I just say that also when Max follows Zach into the Half-Life world, I was getting that one amazing movie flashbacks.
This is at least paced like a regular movie.
True, but yeah, because it isn't the vision of one lunatic. Yeah. It's product cynically pushed out by a TV studio.
Right, yeah, to capitalize on, hey, kids like Half-Life, you like the vidya.
It's a very different kind of bad from that one amazing movie.
Yeah, I think that one amazing movie's ethos is naive enough to think that if you had an internet without any guardrails, it would actually turn out nice.
Right.
Rather than, Max Knight is more that, again, it's that negative freedom where it's like, what do you mean I can't say the N-word? It's like,
right.
Well, because we aren't assholes. That's why we don't have a shitty online community here.
It's the mindset of hey, we have to debate in the marketplace of ideas, and the bad ideas will just naturally drop away.
Right.
It's sure, man.
Right. Amplified by chuds and think tanks. Anyway, Zach is hoisted by his own petard. He's devoured by his own virus. Max is able to leave the internet, which apparently you weren't able to do 5 minutes ago.
Well, because the real Deus Ex Machina is Claire, because she does something. She says a couple lines of technobabble, which indicate...
She does indeed do something, yes.
Yeah, she has done something to enable Max to travel back and forth between the internet and meat space. Yeah,
he can use the front and the back port, I think Claire says.
He wishes.
Right, yeah.
There's and at one point he says there's nothing like a woman who knows all the cheat codes, which is again such a teenage thing to say.
Right, yeah.
I think is cool.
Oh, and then she made me a sandwich and then brought me a Mountain Dew.
And then she left.
Yeah, so Claire really is the one who loses out in all this. It's a good thing that she's not alive. It's because she's like, well, Max, why don't you stay in here with me and we can be a computer forever? But I mean, that is, the tragedy, of having to be faced with that choice. It is a false utopia, and really you should learn to live as a genuine human being in real life without the internet. Hey, why are you shutting this off?
Another thing that was very popular in the 90s, Claire, that you should look into, the book He's Just Not That Into You.
Sometimes women say 0 when they really mean 1.
Mm-hmm. Just check the rules.
Or digital assistants, I guess. It's like, that's like, The Good Place. Janet, I'm not a girl. So in this world they invented transhumanism and digital consciousness, but the genius who made it all work is dead, so...
Thankfully.
Yeah.
And teenage girls everywhere breathed a sigh of relief.
Like, oh, now I feel safe enough to go to college.
Finally, I can go back to my world-altering work in the field of energy.
Yeah, I'm just going to come up with another thing that'll upend the entire notion of thermodynamics.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Yeah, and then maybe I'll register to vote. Yeah. Hey, the future's female, right, Jen?
That's right.
Yes.
Girl boss.
Right. More female wardens. I don't know.
And that teenage girl grew up to be Elizabeth Holmes.
She finally got the voice right.
She had to really work on her voice.
Yeah, there needs to be more authority.
This is my Steve Jobs voice.
Most 90s movie that we've watched, Jen? What do you think?
You could try stacking this up next to things we watched previously, like Johnny Mnemonic or Lawnmower Man or what have you. But this is so I think because it's a TV movie and sort of like cheap and rushed and janky, derogatory, that it just feels like the pure uncut shit. Yeah,
it really is. Getting high on its own supply. It sets up a sequel, or I guess a second episode.
Yeah, I really thought that this was like a pilot or something, but it appears to be just a one-off movie that UPN was then going to pass to Blockbuster for direct-to-video purpose.
Watching it, it absolutely looks like a pilot.
Yeah, because because they set up Max being able to move back and forth between the internet and the real world. Mm-hmm. He's got a girlfriend now, and an auxiliary girlfriend, one in reserve for when she,
when she's ragging, bro.
When she, when the little one comes of age, she's got a backup right there.
Right, yeah. And, Rachel Blakely gets 2 paychecks this way, too, so good for her.
Oh, yeah, and he's still got his
get that bag, girl.
He's still got his virtual assistant who's, suffering through this polycule.
Right.
With him.
Yeah, just, harboring resentment at him endlessly. Is that why, Siri will be like, oh, sorry, I wasn't able to save that calendar appointment? The fuck, bitch, I just told you everything.
Yeah, she really is a fucking bitch.
Yeah, hey, I'm trying my best.
I'm just trying to help. Fuck you, Siri.
Then they're going to make her worse. They're going to make her an AI. So.
God. Right, we didn't mention that they also saved Ricky from getting her brain wiped.
Yeah.
Because... as Max says, I locked the system code and derez the Z buffers.
That's true. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, and that...
Yeah, that's all 100% accurate.
It reminds me of so many, next-gen episodes where they would be in, a really bad situation, and then Data would just, rattle off
turning
some,
off and on again. Yeah.
Well, Data...
reverse the access code?
Yeah, Data would rattle off some, techno-babble, and then it would be oh, that's perfect, and then it would fix it. But, I don't know. I accepted it more with next-gen.
Right. Well, it was a product of the 90s. They were just chasing that, precedent that Max Knight had set.
It did set a high bar.
Yeah. Well, anytime, my, computers break or, something doesn't work, all I do is I unplug it, then I flip the power cord upside down and plug it back in to reverse the polarity, and it works.
It's so simple.
Right.
I can't believe I didn't think of that.
It's so simple. I can't believe they kept this in the script.
It's the equivalent of when a journalist will write to come.
Yeah.
On stuff they're going to film later. It's the screenwriting equivalent. And then oops, we left it in.
Yeah. Place MacGuffin here. Insert quip for podcast here.
What else you got?
That's pretty much everything. I completely skipped over the part where Ricky comes back to life because I'm it's gonna happen.
Yeah, they figured it out somehow. It's not really clear, but they put her brain back in her head somehow.
Yeah.
Which,
well,
fine,
it
whatever.
was read write. I mean, it goes both ways. They that little like write protect tab on the floppy disk. They like flip that so you can write to it again.
You know, I'm thinking of like a darker scenario where like
Of course you are.
where they put like Claire into Ricky's body.
Uh-huh.
So then Claire has like a meat body that he can fuck. Because we know that like a problem that he had like at the beginning of the movie was like, oh man, Claire, you're almost perfect. It's just that I can't actually like stick my dick in you.
Yeah, I didn't pay for that upgrade.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, it
And-
would have involved having to call tech support.
Right. He's still on hold to this day.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's also the nightmare of what happened to Ricky.
Yeah.
You know, just trapped in the internet forever playing Half-Life and looking at porn.
Yeah, she's stuck on teenagecybersexkittens.com.
I mean, that doesn't sound so bad.
What a ridiculous movie. It's on the Internet Archive, so you can see it for yourself.
Yeah, jack into that website. Inject your consciousness onto archive.org.
Yeah, jack something.
Right, yeah, do that too.
Whack.
We should release this episode on PCMCIA card.
And it should be like that brushed metal that says Max Knight Ultra Spy on it.
I mean, you know we have a mutual friend who does prop replicas.
Yeah.
I considered it.
It would be kind of sick. It would be very stupid, but also kind of sick.
Absolutely.
Much like this movie.
Yeah, it's a perfect encapsulation of such.
Okay, well, are we done?
I guess we're as done as the franchise is. We never got to see him go answer that phone call from the future.
Yeah, it came from the year 2132, to which he, of course, quips, gee, I hope it wasn't collect.
Okay, now collect phone call. If you remember, they were pay phones, and you wouldn't have had change on you necessarily, but there was a card that you could use, and you could dial 1-800-COLLECT, and what you could say is, Tim's at the airport, and then they would say, accept collect call from Tim's at the airport, and then they would just refuse the call and then come and pick you up.
Did you used to do that?
I was in college, of course I did that. But now it's the future, and I just text people.
Yeah. Wow. Truly, what has been lost?
And they say, mark as spam. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, you can get 2 extra episodes every month, plus access to our growing catalog of reviews for just $5 a month by going to patreon.com and searching for Have You Seen This?
Have you seen this? It's the same shit we talked about last week.